Why is letting go so hard? You say you want to move on. You say you're done. But then why do you still check your phone hoping it's them? Why does your heart race at every notification? Why do you still dream about someone who made you feel small? Letting go isn't a decision. It's a process, and most of the time, it's not about the person. It's about the version of yourself you abandoned to keep them close. This isn't about forgetting. It's about reclaiming. The illusion of closure. You think if you had answers, you'd be free. If they apologized. If they explained. If they admitted they were wrong. But closure is a myth, a cultural fantasy that promises emotional peace through external validation. The truth? You don't need their words. You need your own. Carl Jung said, "What we do not face in ourselves we will find as fate." And maybe that's what this is: not a breakup, but a mirror. A reflection of everything you've avoided seeing. Letting go begins when you stop waiting for someone else to make sense of your pain and start listening to what your pain is trying to tell you. The shadow of love. Most of what we call love is not love. It's projection. It's fantasy. It's the shadow clinging to someone who activates our wounds. You didn't fall for them. You fell for the image your unconscious painted on their face. Jung called this psychic projection, the act of assigning our unmet needs, repressed desires, and unclaimed traits onto another person. They weren't your soulmate. They were your shadow's stage. And when they failed to live up to the fantasy, you didn't just feel disappointed. You felt shattered, because the illusion collapsed. And with it, the scaffolding of your emotional identity. Brain issues. The pain isn't about them. You think you miss them. But what if you're missing the emotional state they triggered? Neuropsychology shows that emotional attachment is less about logic and more about chemical imprinting. Your brain associates their presence with dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin, the bonding cocktail. And when they leave, your nervous system panics. Not because they were perfect, but they were familiar. You're not grieving the person. You're grieving the emotional high, and that high was never sustainable. The persona and the price. You learned early that love had conditions. Be good. Be quiet. Be useful. And maybe, just maybe, you'd be loved. So you built a persona, a mask to survive, and a character that fit the desires of others. But every time you molded yourself to be chosen, you abandoned the self that was already worthy. Jung called this the persona, the social mask we wear to be accepted. Necessary, yes, but dangerous when mistaken for identity. Because the more you live from the mask, the more you suffocate the soul. And in relationships marked by emotional dependency, you don't just lose the other, you lose yourself. The anxiety of disconnection, the tight chest, the racing thoughts, the obsession with messages and meaning. Your psyche is divided between the false self begging for approval and the true self starving for authenticity. Every unanswered text feels like rejection. Every silence feels like abandonment. Every criticism feels like collapse. You call it anxiety, but it's not just fear. It's fragmentation. But this anxiety isn't your enemy. It's your soul's alarm and the scream of the parts you've buried, demanding to be seen. The shadow's stage. You think you choose who you love. But what if it's your shadow that chooses? Jung defined the shadow as everything you reject in yourself: anger, desire, power, vulnerability. And what you repress doesn't disappear. It waits. It gathers energy and finds expression in relationships. You attract what mirrors your shadow. You hate in them what you deny in yourself. You love in them what you've abandoned in yourself. This is why the pattern repeats: different faces, same pain. You're not cursed. You're unconscious. And until you face the shadow, you'll keep calling self-sabotage love. The cost of clinging. Letting go isn't just about releasing the person. It's about releasing the fantasy, the hope, and the illusion. It's about mourning the version of yourself that believed you had to earn love. Because every time you cling to someone who hurts you, you reinforce the belief that pain is the price of connection. Not because you're weak, but because you were taught that love means sacrifice. But real love doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to show up fully, fiercely, unapologetically. The turning point. There comes a moment when the pain becomes louder than the illusion. When the ache of self-abandonment outweighs the fear of being alone. This is the threshold, the beginning of individuation, the process Jung described as becoming who you truly are. It's not pretty. It's not easy. It's a confrontation. You'll have to face the wounds you've romanticized, the patterns you've repeated, the truths you've avoided. But on the other side is freedom, not from the person, but from the prison of projection. Reclaiming yourself. Letting go is not forgetting. It's remembering. It's remembering who you were before the mask, before the fantasy, before the emotional contortion. It's saying, I no longer need to be chosen to feel worthy. I choose myself. And when you do, the obsession fades. The anxiety softens. The pattern breaks. Because you've stopped chasing what was never yours and started reclaiming what always was. In-depth letting go journey. If this video stirs something in you, please subscribe our channel. If you're ready to stop clinging and start reclaiming, then begin. The 30-day to authentic love and emotional liberation program is your guided path to truly letting go, emotional clarity, nervous system regulation, and self-reclamation. It's not a quick fix. It's a daily practice of returning to yourself. You're not letting go of love. You're letting go of illusion. And that is the beginning of everything. Thank you for watching. See you soon.